You're just all a bar.
Gotta have fun in life, Sylvia.
You don't have fun, it's just a lot of work.
So. Those of you on Zoom, can you hear me? Matt? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey,
Okay.
Jerry.
Eric Moore, could you please mute yourself?
Hey, you want it?
They want the police here for meetings if possible.
Okay.
Unless you get a,
Unless you get a major call.
yeah.
Well, mine is all.
I-
Couldn't make out what you were saying, but yeah.
Can everybody on Zoom, please put your full name on your Zoom picture, whatever you call it, what do you call that? Zoom square? Yeah. Thank you. Whoever Ken SH is. And Elizabeth's iPhone. Rock and roll.
7 o'clock. Stephanie comes back. You ready, Steph?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
That's all right.
wanted to ask a quick question.
It's all right. Everybody ready?
Mhm.
I'd like to call the Verona Borough Council Workshop Meeting of June 27th to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Long,
Present.
Mr. Craig,
Present.
Mr. Pitch. You,
Present.
Dr. Carpenter,
President,
Ms. Redzak,
Present.
President Suchovich,
Present.
Mayor Recupero,
Present.
Mr. Flota,
Present.
Ms. Sylvia Provenza. Present. There you go.
Thank you. Any additional emergency items for the agenda? Okay. We have registered comments from the public. We have Mr. Chris Blackwell, the Penn Hills Planning Director, and he's going to talk about the VOP trail grants. Please, come to the podium and state your name and address, please, for the record.
please check that mic is on.
You might have to turn it on up top there, Chris.
Push it all the way up.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, my name is Chris Blackwell, and I'm the planning director, Christopher Blackwell. I'm the planning director for the municipality of Penn Hills.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi.
And first of all, we want to thank you for hearing us and giving us this time. I know you have a lot of busy things going on and setting a meeting, things like that. I'm Chris Blackwell, and the person handing out this information is an intern that I have this summer. Virgil Stubenbort is a Kent State student, and Virgil comes to the municipality through the local government academy municipal internship program. So what we've been working on, you do get into other things like, you all know it's like scanning files from 1945. They've done some of that. They've been to court. They've been on footer inspection. So it's a lot of fun, but the main focus was this VOP trail, Verona Oakmont Penn Hills Plum Trail that we're talking about tonight.
And Plum.
And Plum. And then what it really comes down to is on July 31st, there's a multimodal grant application that would be due July 31st. And that was really our focus. And I think that that's our ultimate goal, but really the language and the work we've done is really would work well with other grants as well. That I know that Friends of the Riverfront is working on a grant. And I guess I want to go back just a little bit where we've been working, this is truly multi-municipal activity, putting this trail together with the 4 communities. And so in December of last year, October of last year, I submitted a grant to Allegheny County Trail Development Fund and received $1.2 million to design the entire trail. And the reason I tell you that is I also applied for just the design and construction of Verona, the construction of Milltown, the Penn Hills portion, or design and construction of the whole trail. And we got the whole trail. So sometimes, you talk about just keep going, just put, when these grants are available, when they come along. So I got that one. Then I got another 70,000 for a bridge in Penn Hills, the Penn Hills Plum border. So, we just feel like we're really on a roll and we want to keep going and we want to include all the communities in that. So we're looking at submitting a grant, and we're working on this at 5:30. We got cost estimates, so some of this information is not totally fresh in my head, but this requires, multimodal requires a match. And the phase 1, which is segment A and B, this is kind of a new term because we're breaking it down into segments. It's just the Verona portion. It goes from Steel City Rowing to Center Avenue. It comes in about $800,000. It includes a railroad crossing, but and it's a lot. So the match is a couple $100,000. So it's easy for me to go, yeah, it's only $200,000. You want to sign a piece of paper tonight so we can move ahead. I understand that's hard to swallow, but I think that like I say, it's I say that, but then we're looking at the money coming in, you're looking at your 2024 budget probably, which I know you're going to be working on shortly. But so I just want to bring those things up. And originally we brought some maps. We have another meeting July 13th at the Penn Hills Municipal Building where some of these things will be on display. We walked in and we thought, oh, wish we'd had it on a thumb drive because you could see it bigger today. But Virgil created maps of you can pass this around, but it's going to be it's a map, and we're going to have multiple maps of the whole trail and then focuses on each community. So then here you have Verona's focused here, has the the information for that part of the trail.
Is that the presentation you gave us in our?
No, this has been revised.
I'm apparently outdated.
Yeah, it has been revised
Sorry.
since then. But and we might be able to answer questions if you have questions or concerns about that, the Verona portion.
I guess my question is, as we look at all of this, we've also talked about doing a TARSA grant.
Yeah, we were talking about that today. Yeah.
I think our biggest thing is we also have an active transportation plan.
Yes, I mentioned it in the.
And as we're
here.
looking at our
Yeah.
active transportation plan, myself and our engineer who's on with us are looking at the fact that we would really like to go after some of that would
Sure.
also help the Bob trails. So is there any way that TARSA would work so that we weren't competing?
Yeah,
against
that's
each other?
the transportation alternative,
Yes.
set aside. So I've talked to Courtney Vita.
Yeah.
And we're talking about even using some of this information. So that grant's due a little later in the year, I guess in the summertime. So same thing, that's why I say a lot of the information that we're working on today will apply to that. And we're going to be working with her on that as well.
I guess my hesitation is, will we be competing against each
Yeah,
other?
absolutely. I don't think we'd be competing. I don't think it's the same fund, but it just, but I think too, like I said, that's why I said I've put in multiple grants for the same thing and then got them. So it's
Yeah.
it's a good thing,
Right,
but this requires a lot of match and that grant does not.
okay,
I believe that's, I'm not sure what the match, I don't think there's a match with that grant. Yeah, it's 100%. So that's that's important. You know?
I guess what I'm saying to you is, we're playing on the concept of Bob is important, but so is getting all the parks together.
Absolutely.
Because that will make Bob even more important to Verona.
Right.
So I'm just trying to figure out, I just don't want us to be competing against.
Yeah,
each other.
absolutely. No, absolutely. And actually, we're here really, like I said, I applied for grants for all the communities. And then we have maybe some more resources than some communities. So we're saying like, what can we do for
Okay.
you is really what we're here for. So even the other grant, the transportation grant, that TARSA grant, we're offering to help, or we're going to be helping with that as well.
And I think Matt and I would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Stephanie, were you asking if Chris's multimodal and the Tarsa grant would compete against each
No,
other, or
we're
our
asking if both
multimodal?
multimodals would compete against each other.
So in that case,
You have another multimodal, is that
We
correct?
have-
Or,
Matt, Pitch and I are working on a multimodal to, part of the active transportation plan.
I see.
Built on the concept of connecting all the parks, which would mean ADA ramps.
Yes.
Sidewalks.
So that's a
and-
completely, I'm sorry, that's a completely separate grant. from
Right, but
Tarsa.
we would
Right, I
still,
got you.
as a multimodal, be competing.
Yeah, we
Matt-
wouldn't want to, we wouldn't want to compete with
Yeah.
that. Right.
And Matt, do you have anything to say about that? Or he's just,
No, I agree, like, depending on how the VOP multimodal was put in, and it sounds like we were looking to have Verona be the sponsor of it. It would, both applications would essentially compete with each other while being reviewed.
Yeah, that, we understand. I thought you were talking about the Tarsa grant.
no, we're talking about
yeah,
multimodals.
okay. Yeah,
No, we don't have anything lined up for the set aside money. Friends of the Riverfront was looking into that, which I sat in on a webinar for it, and they hit every point. So I think that might be a good option to look at.
okay.
Plus, it's the fully funded, no match required.
Yeah, that's a huge incentive. No, and I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Stephanie, I'm sorry, I misunderstood your first, when you
Yeah, I'm
first
talking
about the
about two
competing.
balls
Yeah,
and
I
more.
got you. Yeah. No, I don't want to, we don't want to compete with that.
Okay.
And we actually just learned about it actually like a week ago or something, that you were applying for a multimodal. Yeah, so we would not want to compete with you on that.
Chris, when's your next meeting up in Penn Hills?
July 17th.
July 17th.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm thinking council meeting. July 17th is council
That's
meeting.
why you
July
said-
13th, right. July 13th is the next BOP meeting, right?
What time?
6 o'clock, 6 to 8.
And we'll.
6 to
we'll
8.
Put that up and do everything.
Yeah.
Are they gonna go over the trail again?
Yes,
Cause I know we talked about that when we were down in Verona,
I think,
and I had some concerns.
sure, like this map is gonna be completed by then. We're really working for this grant coming to your presentation tonight. And Tricia invited us to come to this and we're glad to be here. And then, so on the 13th, that's gonna be the whole team. The engineers are gonna be there. We'll all be there for the 13th. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was thinking council meeting in my head.
That's what I think.
I know.
2 minutes.
We had one last night. I was like, oh, am I gonna see Craig again?
Not tonight.
have you guys started working on the multimodal that you had in mind for VOP?
Yes.
Okay, I'm wondering if there's any way to combine our efforts?
Sure. We're familiar with as far as exhibits, like if you look at what we handed out, exhibit 1 is the description, exhibit 2 is the cost estimate, which we didn't share the whole thing with you, but exhibit 3. So actually, we'd be glad to assist with that if you wanted us to.
I guess my fear is though, that we're working on a multimodal to deal with our active transportation
Right.
plan. Are those two things gonna go?
But yeah,
together?
Tricia, I thought you were saying are we already working on the VOP? We're willing to back off on our application on for you. Is that not at all? I mean,
There's no one of us who are saying that if Tarsa's a better. I've been told Tarsa's a better fit for Verona.
Yeah.
Just because of where it's sitting and what we have to do.
sure.
And we're just trying to figure out what is the best avenue.
I agree. We went with multimodal because of the on-road portion. You know, that was our thinking, you know?
And we went with Tarsa with the idea that a
Yeah,
lot of
I
our
totally agree.
thinking is
Right.
it's gonna be on state road.
Absolutely. I think, Tricia, I thought you were just asking is if what we're working on would apply to your application. I'm
I
sorry.
was, no, you
Okay.
understood me.
Okay,
So if you look, like the VOP trail does all along the priority corridors, identified in our transportation plan.
Yes.
So I wonder if it could be like a trail connectivity and recreation connectivity.
Or we could sit down, Matt, you and I, and everybody could sit down and just look at what
Sure.
we're all looking at.
Yep.
Make sure we're all looking at the same.
and this is the one, like it's due July 31st,
Yes.
correct? Okay,
Right, Matt?
Yes, July 31st.
Cause he has people out looking at the active transportation plan right now too.
Right. If there's some way that we could help with what we've already done, if we could supply you with what we've already worked on, if that's what you're asking. To help with that portion or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, or you could read it over and see like, oh, we like.
Yeah,
this
I hate
language,
to
or-
see you waste effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we touched base with Courtney earlier this week, she was thinking, well, why not just have 2 multimodals? Which I don't know. But yeah, instead of like totally rescinding it, maybe we can combine.
I kind of got the feeling like if we could do the Tarsa grant from what.
We're
Matt-
totally doing this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tarsa from what Matt said was totally for Verona. fit
Totally, yeah.
Completely in, and then we could add the Verona multimodal. I just don't want to compete against each other.
Yeah, no,
That petrifies.
Yeah,
me.
we don't either. Yeah, and we don't either. We're trying to help. We're
Yeah,
not,
I
we're not
don't
trying
want-
to.
Right,
Yeah,
Against us.
but also, as far as, there's no time wasted. These are all things that,
okay,
when you, as a planner, and I've been saying this to Virgil, you have, as all you do, you have your day-to-day work.
Uh-huh.
You have your day-to-day stuff, you have your weekly, you have your monthly, your planning commission, your council. And then there's these things that you like to do. And even with my staff, when I hire my staff, I say, if there's something you're really into with that you really enjoy, there's going to be time for that. So
Mhm.
maybe it's 10% of your job, maybe it's 20, so I think so to me, this wouldn't be the first time I worked on something that didn't come to fruition, and then, I use like 20 years ago, the Allegheny River Boulevard, I was trying to go from Rivertown Shops to the zoo. And of course I did that in 2003, and you haven't been riding that trail yet, but it's not a waste. You learn from those things. And then in fact, like from Steel City Rowing, actually going along the shore of the self-storage, I have a 20-foot right of way for a bike trail.
I would,
Probably will never go there, but those are things that you work on and you hope someday all those pieces come
I would
together.
love to work with you. I'm sure Matt would love to work with you.
Sure.
on the concept to combine both in the same concept. So we could get our active transportation plan and get the VOP trail, and it's all together in one perfect harmony. Because I think if you don't have one, you don't have the other.
Yep.
that's true.
I guess we'd have to ask you how we can help, because I know that deadline's coming up.
I'm sure Matt and I can
Okay.
contact you guys.
Because I think like, even when you apply for those grants, we have sort of like these files of descriptions and things that we move words around and, stuff like that, because, so we're familiar with that language, but that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, and I would appreciate that.
Sure.
I think we'd all appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing, and then, I guess I don't know if you have any other questions about it, or is that,
Yeah, anyone else have questions?
No, I just wanted to know what time the meeting was.
6
6
to
to
8?
8,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, 6 to 8.
Stephanie, you're gonna take care of setting up something with Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Yeah, we will.
Matt,
Yes,
you and I will figure out a time we can all meet.
yeah, absolutely. I'll email you. And I should have all our costs and preliminary locations done by the end of the week.
Okay, that's perfect.
Very good.
Well, appreciate your time.
We appreciate you. We
And,
appreciate what you do,
thank
what you're
you.
doing.
And before I go, I have to say one more municipal project I'm kind of working on here was that Reddit asked about a bus shelter at the end of Second Avenue on Verona Road. So I have the Pittsburgh Regional Transit not counts for Penn Hills buses, and they'll give you that. They have it's a whole spreadsheet. I don't know if you have that already.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to work on getting more bus shelters in Penn Hills. And I'm working with Lamar, Pittsburgh Regional Transit, whoever I can do and get, so what they want is they want to show numbers. And I was kind of surprised that the most traveled bus, the most used bus stop in Penn Hills is the top of Duff and Frankstown, and it's only 25 a day. Okay. And then it's also only inbound. So they'll give you a shelter inbound, but not outbound, because you get out of the bus and you just go to your car.
Yeah.
Or you're not standing there, But at that stop, there's only, they say they need more than 20 to build a shelter, and the count shows 2. So whoever the 2 residents were that came to you, but I want to let you know, I am thinking about it and
Okay.
trying to figure out, sometimes, like even Lamar, I don't know if you all remember, but Lamar had a bus shelter. They put in bus shelters, they get advertised. Right.
Mhm.
So remember they had a bus shelter at Sandy Creek and ARB? Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no bus there, you know, so that was kind of like a little, you know, okay, you give us some in some
Sometimes if
areas. that
there's a will,
don't,
there's a
you know,
way.
Yeah,
right?
so it's not dead, but I wanted to just share that with you.
All right, thank, we also talked about a crosswalk there too.
Yeah, and that, I don't know how that,
Yeah,
I'll have to see the two people, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, even if there's one person that needs to cross, I think it's important, but,
Yeah,
right.
but,
But it's tough to get it, yeah.
but it's tough to get it in, but anyway, I just
That-
wanted to let you know, I didn't forget about
That
it.
crossing's at,
Thank you very much, yeah,
excuse me, Chris, that
Um,
crossing's Wildwood in Second.
Yes,
yes,
Yeah, so that's part of our multimodal. There's some new equipment for flashing pedestrian signs, so we're looking into that to have a crossing there on Wildwood now.
good, I'll share that with PRT also to try to get, maybe that's a little incentive where we kind of work on some of these things, because we've been putting lights in with the buttons.
Yeah.
Things like
Yeah.
that.
You're
Yeah,
all
so these are similar, but it doesn't give you the walk, no walk symbol. But they're the large diamond shaped signs that have the pedestrian. They have arrows that have flashing lights on each side to
Excellent.
alert motorists. And when you push the button and activate it, that's when it flashes. So it gets motorists' attention that there's someone activated the sign.
Yeah, look up on Oakmont, I guess, the one up by the bridge.
On
Okay.
Speedway.
Mm.
That's by the high school.
Yeah.
All right, I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming down.
Listen,
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bert.
We have Bridget Siri and she's not able to make it tonight. So we'll go to comments from the public. This time we'll hear comments on public related items. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand. Clearly state your name and address. Limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I saw Sherry first and then Jessica, you'll be next.
Hello. Hello. What's your name again?
Chris.
Christopher, can I get your card? So I just want to say, I missed the whole VOPP trail. We were cooking in the kitchen. This is Sherry from Hula Bar, 759 East Railroad. I just want to say, while the gentleman and the ladies here, as far as the Verona Chamber concerned, and I want to give a great thank you for the Verona newsletter for published the original drawing for the VOPP trail, because it did take up third of the on-street parking. And because the newsletter published it and the public have said something, and then you guys have changed the whole trail, avoid taking parking in the business district. We have in Verona, we have a very diverse chamber. And it's probably the best, I think, in Allegheny County. And every one of them on the chamber, one of us on the chamber agrees, we cannot lose a single parking in Verona. So I'm hoping some of the chamber member would make it to the meeting. My husband and I own a bar, we can't find a cook, so we're stuck in the kitchen on July 13th. But we do have a letter, I probably would submit it, and I submitted the chamber to get approval to send that letter out. And whatever you do, please do not take away single parking, because our business district greatly depends on every single parking spot in this borough.
Your concern for her.
Thank you so much. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Sherry.
You're welcome. Sherry, if you send that letter to me, I'll make sure he gets.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Jessica,
Hello, Jessica Verone, 722 Bruno Street. I have a question mostly for, I guess, Mr. Bitch. As we're planning for the Verona Community Day, which just making sure everyone's aware, sorry, not community day, community picnic. It's the 3rd annual community picnic, which will be September 23rd. And I just wanted to check in about the renovations to the pavilion. I know there were some changes that were going to be made because of the health department requirements. I think there were, I can't remember all of them, but I knew you were adding, I believe, like a 3rd sink and some other things. And I just wanted to find out what the status of that was. I mean, you might not have a good update now, but as we get closer and start planning, we want to make sure we have a backup plan if we can't, use that for food. Thank you.
Jessica, if I had to give you an opinion at this point, I would tell you to plan on the fact that any food that comes out of that concession stand needs to be pre-prepared. So that would mean
At this point in
at
time,
this point in time, there. I know that Matt has sent stuff in, but the health department is backed up. And I don't see by September 23rd them saying the concession stand is fully operational.
So are they, are
Go
you,
ahead.
do you mean there's, sorry, I'm just a little confused. Sounds like you're waiting for the health department to maybe like agree that it's okay to use as it is, or are you actually doing renovations?
We are actually we will have to do renovations, but until they pay the plans, we can't do anything.
I see.
And Matt has his hand up right now and he might be able to give you more information.
Yeah, so the plan is submitted to the county plumbing division and health department. But as Stephanie said, they are fairly backed up. So the pavilion is permitted to be used. At this time, it is just not permitted to prepare food in. So as long as all the food is brought in already prepared, it doesn't matter what type of food it is, as long as it's pre-cooked. As far as the renovations, they're all going to be minor. As part of the new permit, we have to put a dedicated hand washing sink. They do not allow you to use the sink for the dishes to wash your hands in. And then because of the food aspect, they're requiring a 3-bowl sink for what they call sanitation while washing the dishes. And then we have to add a grease trap under the sink. But there won't be any major renovations such as demoing walls or anything like that.
So I have a question, Matt, while you're still here.
Yes.
What you just described, the 3-bowl sink, a hand washing station, and a grease trap. What is the involvement of the health department? Can't we just do that and get it done?
Matt brought that up a couple other times and explained it all.
I mean, we could just hire a plumber and do it. Unfortunately, as far as preparing food there, it goes by a health department permit, much like a restaurant for a business. So until they get around to signing off on that permit, we're not permitted to use it as a area to prepare food.
And unfortunately, you have to remember, RAA, LBAF, and all the other organizations are using it within the permit laws. In January of this year, they changed everything. It's unfortunate, but there's not much we can do to change it.
There's no grandfathering or anything like
There's
that?
no such thing as that with the health department.
So
Yeah,
what-
unfortunately, I had that fight with them and I was basically told that we changed our regulations. You must comply now.
And and I will say, as with my last job, they sent out quite a bit of information to make sure we all understood that.
So what we're waiting for in terms of the health department is just would be for them to come and inspect it?
No, for them to give us the okay to even make the changes.
Oh. Okay.
And then it's a matter of bid not getting the job and all that.
We just had to make the changes and have them come.
Unfortunately,
That's not,
the health department showed up a couple months ago. Saw the setup and we got caught when they told us we had to fix it before we were allowed to do anything else. Not sure how that happened, but that's what happened.
Kathy Maddox has her hand up.
Kathy,
Hi, Kathy Maddox, 234 Penn Street. Yeah, so this originally came up right after our last community picnic, and then we brought it up sometime around March, and I actually had talked to the county, and they did say we can get, I don't remember the particulars, a permit to do it as like a one-off type of thing. I forget the expense with that because again, it's been a while. But you know, we want to make sure we comply and make sure we're doing everything right. Do you think, as far as you know, you may not know, if we do something like hot dogs, which are pre-cooked products,
Nope.
and maybe like a pulled pork situation that comes from a freezer section, if that would be adequate, all that's already pre-cooked and
No.
cooked it outside of the pavilion.
Nope, everything has to be completed and done and in foil by the time it reaches that concession stand.
That's interesting. So what do other events do? I mean, I have the knowledge of, some people utilizing cooking food at a restaurant, which we don't have at our disposal.
If you can cook, they will allow you to cook food at a restaurant and bring it in. They will allow you to wrap things up and bring it in. But if you cook it, you heat it, or you do anything inside the concession stand, it's illegal.
Well, if they do like hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill outside,
Nope,
they won't even allow that either.
nope, it's.
Well,
considered-
the gentleman from the health department, I do recall that he said there is a special permit, and I really don't know for sure if it was $45 or something like $100. It's somewhere around there, where there can be an exception to even cook hamburgers. So perhaps that's a route we're gonna have to investigate further. It's just unfortunate that people trying to do events for the community need to know that information or do all that legwork. When you would think that the borough could say, hey, you're running a pavilion or utilizing pavilion to put on a community event and can't provide us that information, because I strongly feel there's more to it.
Unfortunately, Kathy, as much as you think there's more to it, the rules changed on January 1st, 2023.
Okay, I spoke to this gentleman after then, so I guess I will just have to call him again and see what we can do. We just simply want to put on a nice event for the community and comply in doing so.
And I understand that, but we have had to tell RAA, LBAF, and anybody who has rented the pavilion since then, that they are not to cook food at the concession stand.
Okay, that's just unfortunate that you've gotten different information. So that's what I'm saying. There's just some kind of gap that needs to be clarified perhaps, because I was told otherwise. So, I mean, I'll give it a go, or the community group as a whole will give it a go to try to get more information and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Shields?
Yeah, how you doing? Ken Shields, 549 Allegheny River Boulevard. So there used to be a temporary permit you could get. Now, it's been quite many years since I've had needed to do so, but you used to be able to get a temporary permit for just a single event. It was very minimal. It was like $30, $40. I don't know if that's still available, but I can look into that.
Apparently that must be what Kathy Maddox is talking about too.
Yeah, I
maybe.
think so.
I don't,
The health department's still allowing that. They really did change their rules pretty drastically on January 1st of 2023. But it could be quite possible. I don't know.
The other, so also if there's, if it's, I don't know how many events you're doing or whatever, I'd be willing to potentially use my facilities for a number of events, if that's an option.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very
yep,
much.
thanks, Kim.
I think at this point, they're just talking about the one picnic on September 23rd.
Okay, well, I'd be willing to work with you guys on that.
Thank
So
you.
Thanks,
I
Ken.
got a question. So that would mean if any vendors came to the car cruise too and set up?
No, that's not the part.
Okay, it's just, they're talking
That's
parks.
the park, yeah.
Park concession stand has to be health department approved.
Okay,
And they really did, whether people want to believe it or not, change the rules on January 1st, and they made it a little bit more difficult to do this. So, and we did not, I'll be honest, we did not realize until after the health department contacted us, because somebody had contacted them, of the issues that we were gonna have to fulfill.
And if I remember right, it's not the actual health department that we're waiting for approval. It's the county plumbing department has to approve the changes in the plumbing.
I think that's what Matt said, yes.
We are doing everything in our power. We feel guilty. I mean, we feel horrible, especially for REA and LVAF, who have been in there for the last, 6 weeks, that have had to deal with these rules.
Right. Well, hopefully the plumbing department works a little fast, starts working a little faster. Kathy,
Hi, I'm so sorry, but since we're planning this event with just a couple months to spare, I'm wondering if Mr. Shields could possibly connect with the Verona Community Group. Sounds like he might be able to help us directly to, since we're on a time, not a time crunch, but a shorter time window.
I'm sure if someone reached out to Mr. Shields, he would be happy to work with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I can search him on Facebook. I just thought maybe somehow that could be facilitated.
Yeah, just stop in perhaps.
Yeah,
I don't have
Off
Mr.
the rails.
Shields.
Oh, off the rails. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
he's-
I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with that.
I did not
being
realize
the owner,
that.
Off the rails. Cool. Yep,
Yeah,
I go there, so I will.
Yeah.
I'll talk to him. Great. Thank you very much.
any other public comments?
I just want to support, sorry. Hi, this is Sherry from 7 Hula Bar. I just want to support what Stephanie said about the route change, because I think it even happened last year. We had a little bit of water issue at the Hula Bar. It wasn't even that much. I remember Ray now you have to report to the health department. They show up literally the next day. We have to hire a master plumber or somebody from the county to make sure our plumbing is working.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have shut us down.
Yeah.
So that was something I personally experienced, so I'm supporting what you were saying, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry.
Anybody else? Okay, comments from the advisory boards and commissions. Verona Community Garden update.
I'd like to take a moment to read a letter that was sent to all of council, the mayor and our manager Stephanie from the executive director of Grow Pittsburgh. It was sent via email. I don't know if everyone has a hard copy, but I am reading from a hard copy.
Yeah,
We
we all
did
know.
email it, we did put it in your mailbox.
Okay. It should be in your mailbox. So you're welcome to have this copy as well.
I actually, you're right.
I think that Teresa put it on everybody's. Where, yeah, you're gonna read the phone.
Dear Council, Grow Pittsburgh is proud to introduce and share the accomplishments of the Verona Community Garden to your Borough Council and the broader community of Verona. The Verona Community Garden Team is a clear example of community members who are interested and invested in creating an asset for the community. Their commitment and passion made them an excellent fit for our new garden program in 2021. The Garden Group's application stood out as an ideal candidate to provide our support to the budding gardeners. Since entering our program, the Garden Group, alongside of our trained staff, completed major building projects, created a flourishing site, and built a community around their garden. The group meets regularly during their garden social hours to collectively tend the garden, harvest, and discuss organizational matters. The Garden Group also enjoys a partnership with the Community Food Pantry, which provides an excellent opportunity to share the extensive amount of produce to which they have been tending. In the garden's first year, they were able to donate over 200 pounds of food back to the community. With over 40 individuals contributing more than 700 volunteer hours annually, the garden team has hosted field trips for various food groups, held a dedication ceremony to previous occupants of the site, and engaged with neighbors by hosting educational workshops and other various outreach activities. Grow Pittsburgh is proud of the work of the Verona Garden Group. We intend to highlight the Garden Group's achievements in one of our upcoming newsletters, which is shared with our network throughout Allegheny County and beyond. Our new garden program has developed 44 community gardens in Allegheny County since 2010, with funding and support from Allegheny County Economic Development. There are a wide range of materials our programs offers to community garden groups, including installation of necessary infrastructure, team building and community outreach strategies, continued support and access to materials, consultation and funding to sustain gardeners into the future. Grow Pittsburgh has invested close to $50,000 in the Verona Community Garden in materials and resources. We have also invested approximately 1,000 hours of staff time over the course of 2 years. We submit quarterly reports to ACED detailing the progress and success of the sites and groups with which we partner. We would be greatly appreciative if the council could provide us with a quote to include in our next report to the Allegheny County Economic Development. Please feel free to contact Raiden. His information is included there. In our time working to develop sites like yours, we found that strong support from a community gardens municipality makes a big difference. A committed and supported borough management is deeply influential to the long-term outcomes and community impact of a garden. Typically, boroughs can reduce the barriers for community gardens by providing water access, accessible meeting space, and liability insurance. Grow Pittsburgh offers support to establish community gardens like the Verona Garden through our Community Garden Sustainability Fund that offers opportunities for gardens to apply and receive ongoing funding to support their endeavors over time. We're here as a support for you in the garden. For any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to Jason, our Community Garden Project Manager, and his information is included. Sincerely, Janelle Houston, the Executive Director.
We have sent both that and, we, full pieces of paper that you guys sent us from the community garden. The whole harmless agreement, our solicitor has absolutely said it's fine. The other part, he's still working on. There's some major issues there, so I will pass this letter on to him to see if maybe we can find an agreement.
That sounds great. Thank you, Stephanie. And on behalf of everyone involved with the garden, thank you for the borough's support to date. I want to let everyone know that Storytime, the community garden, will not be held tomorrow, but will be held on Wednesdays through the end of July. And we will be resuming Thursday socials on the first and third Thursdays in July.
And I apologize, text messaging is down right now,
Oh, no worries.
so we cannot send out text messages, so we're kind of stuck in this like limbo as they patch that problem.
Okay, I assume Curtis.
He's working on it,
Yeah.
it's not Curtis, it's actually the company.
Okay.
So they're working on it, if you haven't noticed, I also get text messages from Oakmont, you're not even getting those right
Right,
now.
okay.
Everything seems to be stuck in a limbo.
Okay, fingers crossed that's resolved. Seeing.
I don't want you to think we're ignoring anything.
Oh, I don't at all. Thank you, Stephanie. I also just wanted to pause because I think I was told to be the garden liaison to council. So I wanted to allow a few minutes in case anyone has any questions about anything related to the garden.
I actually have a question about the garden hose law.
Yes.
What are you looking for so I can talk to DPW?
Well, to anyone who's not aware, apparently some of the neighborhood kids were turning it into a splash pad.
I heard.
So we had discussed the possibility of putting a lock on the hose. We halted on that process. I mean, something simple that just, keeps kids from getting into it would be ideal. We're gonna try some signage in the interim to see if that is simple enough to maybe keep that at bay.
Is there cameras in that area?
Nope.
No.
Can Jason just get a lock like it's on the shed?
He suggested starting with signage.
Okay. fine.
Okay. And then, okay, if you're gonna start with signage, that's fine. When you're ready for DPW to stop in, please let me know.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is that it?
If no one else has any questions, then
Very good. Thank you, Trish.
thank you.
Okay, discussion items. I have one here, the Mitchell property lien request. We're gonna have to table that till we're still waiting for information from the solicitor.
We're waiting on information, solicitor and the fact that those back taxes.
So that's what's going on there. Personnel contracts, I just want to bring it to attention that it's the end of June. And we got 2 contracts up this year by December, and with budget coming up, we got to get, I don't know who's gonna do the negotiating. But we have the police chiefs and the borough manager. So just wanted to bring that up. We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna debate that.
And the sooner we can get a committee, the better, because
Should we form a committee? Is that what we're saying?
I would appreciate that because we are literally in the process of working on the budget as
Okay.
we speak, and the better, off, the closer we can do it, the better.
I'll talk to Trish and we'll set a committee up.
Great.
Well, I'm happy to be on that committee
And
as
that-
chair of finance.
And that's all I have. Thanks, Nancy. That's all I have. Mayor?
May I ask a quick
Oh,
question?
yep.
Sorry, do you recommend 2 separate committees for each position or 1 for both?
I would suggest one for both.
Okay.
Since they're both kind of the same.
Yeah.
in some
Well, the way
respects.
we used to do it, the police committee, which is now public.
Safety.
Safety would always take care of any contracts of the police.
Okay.
or hiring and what have you.
And the only reason I would say it's different is when you guys did police contracts this year, it was not the public safety committee that did contracts. So that's why
Yeah, there was a bit of a shift.
there was a bit of shift.
There was a bit of a shift involving more of finance people in it.
Trish and I will sit down with Stephanie and come
Well,
up
like
with
I
something.
says, we've always done
Right.
it that way. Then it went to finance.
I see.
You know what I mean? But everything has changed and.
We, I think it's good if we can represent Public Safety Committee
And
and
finance.
Finance in this committee.
Okay. We'll sit down soon and.
Mhm.
Okay, Mayor?
We're getting a new bank in down at the shopping center, Chase. When First National was there, I had kind of fought for to leave the money in Verona, but it was moved to Palmboro at S&T Bank up in East Oakmont. And actually, First National gave us a better deal, but they still ended up going with S&T. And I would like council to have the borough manager, once they get up and running, to take whatever we need down there and see what they could do for us. I mean, we talk about, we want to support Verona, but we're, the heart of Verona, we moved two boroughs over. If we can't get a better deal, then I can understand that. But I think
What kind of better deal you talking, Dave? I'm a little
Um,
confused when you say a deal.
You know what, I can't remember what it was with all kind of, what do I want to say?
offer different amenities.
Yeah.
Fees and things like
Fees
that.
and what have you.
I guess my question is, S&T doesn't charge fees?
Either did First National, but they still ended up going to Plumboro for whatever reason it was.
Well, Plumboro, Penn Hills, and I understand it.
We want to keep, I mean, if Chase can do the same as we're getting, we need to keep our money in Verona. We're asking everybody to support Verona, but yet Verona is taking my money, your money, our money to another community. We want to support our businesses in Verona. We always went to PNC Bank. And once PNC Bank moved to Oakmont, we withdrew our money and we went to, where did we go? Oh, then they went up to S&T.
No, we were at Citizens.
Citizens, that's right,
That's
Citizens.
right.
I knew there was one missing. And Mellon Bank in the shopping center, they don't do municipal. If they do, they charge outrageous rates because they don't want no parts of municipal. And that's what they had told us at the time. But I'm just asking the board to, give permission for the borough manager to go down there with what we have and see what kind of agreement we can make to keep our money in this town.
I guess my question becomes to you then, if I'm gonna do this. Chase, to me, just because there's a bank in Verona, doesn't make it money in Verona. And we are literally sitting on, as we look at, we have 7 accounts with S&T Bank. As we start moving things around, the cost to the borough might be substantial, because we're gonna have to save money in S&T Bank while we try to figure out how to change it to Chase or whatever bank is in Verona.
At the time, First National wouldn't charge us nothing to do all that.
Unfortunately, they might not have charged us anything to do that, but the question is, when automatic payments and EFTs come into bank accounts, if we screw up, we have to keep so much sitting in a bank account.
We won't know until we ask.
Well, how about if I offer this? As the chair of finance, I'd be willing, once they are functioning, to at least go down there and ask the question, do a little research. And
Sure.
once I'm able to do that, I'll talk to Stephanie and we'll bring it back to the board. It may be that it might be a little difficult, particularly because also I just thought of this, Jody, bookminders,
Mhm.
they're all tied in to S&T.
Are all of our accounts are, yeah.
And-
Everything is.
Right, I know.
And
But
all
what I'm
the-
saying, what I'm saying is that it might cost us a lot of extra money for the time for bookminders to switch everything over.
We
But-
won't know unless we.
And I will go and
Find out.
ask and find out,
I mean, they're.
if you're okay with that,
No.
Stephanie.
Well,
But
it's up to the board, though. I mean,
you
Not up
don't,
to me. As the borough manager, will tell you. I am not okay with that because I am not 100% sure 7 months in. What all comes in and out of our bank accounts. That is me. That's not you. You guys can do whatever you feel is the best.
but I'm just offering to do some research,
I would suggest, first of all, they're not even in town yet.
right?
They're not even in town. If this is something that the borough wants to pursue, that we want to pursue, I would suggest we let them get in town, run for a while. That way Stephanie has a year and a half, 2 years under her belt to know what all the grants come in under just electronic filing. The checks for the fire department comes in under the file. That it's not just as easy as taking your personal account and saying, I'm gonna change from S&T to Chase. There's a lot of work behind it. And there's a lot of accounts that could be screwed up.
Just as an example, personal. I dealt with Allegheny Valley Bank, became Standard Bank, now it's Dollar Bank. When it went to Dollar Bank, they changed my account numbers. They gave me the wrong account number. I won't be getting a pension check for 3 months because my pension was a direct deposit. They tried to deposit, the number wasn't right. So they canceled the whole direct deposit and it'll take up to 60 days for it to get corrected.
well, I'm just asking for the board to look into that. I mean, these are a company coming into this borough, paying taxes in this borough, spending some money in this borough, food and what have you. I would like to compare apples with apples.
And that's fine, but I just want to remind everybody that S&T is actually a Pennsylvania bank. Chase is not.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Chase's headquarters is in New York City and it's a national chain. So it's not really a local bank.
S&T's chain starts in Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Well, like I said, we want to keep business going in Verona. And we're telling our businesses, telling our taxpayers to spend money in Verona, especially the chambers, spend money in Verona, but yet we are 2 towns over. And I argued that point several years ago.
Okay, well, I understand you're making your point, you're asking, and it's up to the body, naturally. We can sit here and argue over it all night. I think they're not even open yet for us to even,
I understand that. They
so when
probably
it
won't
comes
be
down
open
the
another
pike a little
couple months.
further, maybe we can send somebody down to look into it.
The other thing I have is where we at on police hiring? Did civil service?
It
have
all
the
goes to
applicants?
civil service. It has not gone to civil service. All the applications were due on the 16th. We gave people a few extra days.
How many did we have?
Right now, we have one.
Need the other one back out.
We're waiting to see. We have an email out to them right now.
Well, let's get those out to civil service.
I just don't want to send one out to civil service.
They can review them, then if the other one comes in, I mean,
All right.
the more we wait, the more they're gonna get another job. I mean, everybody's hiring. The other thing is, on code enforcement, well, first of all, hiring, I guess you're gonna bring that up. We have somebody that comes around now, right?
Mhm.
Does he go out and drive around or, because there's, on Second Street, I think it's 617. The grass is this high. It looks like it's abandoned. The house, it's the duplexes.
He goes out.
He just sold not too long ago. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He goes out, he gets complaints, he goes and checks the complaint.
Well, there's a lot of issues, there's at the end of Third and Church, there's that yard that has like 6 dead cars in it.
Actually, for a fact, I know he just went out to see that on Tuesday.
So,
That's all I have.
I mean,
okay,
we can't, code enforcement, unfortunately, what I've learned very, very quickly is no matter what you do,
people have rights.
people have rights. And I understand that.
But they should be, something like that, they should be fined at least once a week until they comply.
Well, that's
They're
fine.
losing money on that.
But you,
And I'm not saying it's a money maker, but I got one across the street from me. It's going on, I think, 4 or 5 years. And I'm not saying this just because it's across the street from me, but the grass is, at least 3 foot tall. Somebody owns it because they notified me years ago about a wall that they thought it was the neighbors. And I said, well, you're gonna have to get it surveyed. And she said, well, I'm gonna just sell the property, and it's still up in limbo.
there's the magistrate, things go to the magistrate. So, and usually 9 times out of 10, the rulings we get from the magistrate is another 60 days.
I'll call it back. I'll call the judge. I'll talk to him.
Anything else, Mayor?
No, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Regarding code enforcement, do we have any further?
No, we do not, and we're discuss that later.
Okay, we're gonna go to borough manager items
He
now.
was on vacation for 2 weeks.
We're gonna go to borough manager, Stephanie.
ARPA funding, we finally completed the report for 22-23. After a long time and getting a whole bunch of stuff, we are allowed into the system. It is done. The only thing that was recorded was the LED lights, the 25% that we charged to ARPA. We have had questions about short-term rentals. We are gonna have to look at that and decide what we want to do. This would be our VRBO, Airbnb, stuff like that. There is nothing written right now in the code that we can find.
There's an ordinance.
What would be under, because we looked at their short-term.
Yeah, we
rentals.
did do something.
Oh, I remember very distinctly.
Well, if you could please find that for us,
Okay.
we would greatly appreciate it.
Did you ask Craig? Because he should have it too. I remember. sitting down with him and
Yeah, I
like,
did something on
Yeah,
that.
if you guys could find, because we looked up short-term rentals, and nothing pops
Online,
online on.
On
On-
Eco 360.
online is not up to date.
But it's not that far off date.
I mean, that was probably 5 years ago.
It was 18 or 19.
I don't think it's been updated since.
No, it's updated through 2021.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that aspect of it, but I am pretty sure I can find that for you.
If you could find that, that would
Yeah.
be great, because somebody called us and we can't find it, and the unfortunate problem is the records
Yeah,
don't necessarily
Okay.
reflect what has happened.
okay.
The office, with the holidays happening, on Friday, we're changing our hours instead of from 9 to noon, they'll be open from 10 to 3. On Monday, they'll be open from 9 to noon. They're closed on Tuesday. Just so everybody knows, I am out of the office on Friday and Monday. And the last thing is we want to give a huge thank you to Lower Valley Athletic Foundation, because they donated a second TV to Cribs Park concession stand that was hung last week, and then they fixed all the wiring so that it looks pretty before the REA basketball or baseball tournament. So-
Very good. Thank you, Lower Valley Athletic Foundation. Needs to keep that place nice up there.
They're such good guys.
Well,
Don't go
They're-
that far.
we'll discuss that. No, they're a good group. Committee discussion items, finance, Dr. Carpenter.
Hi there. So, thank you. Yesterday, June 26th, we had a nice, meeting. It was short, but we talked about a lot of things quickly. Stephanie has already mentioned about, ARPA. And, we reviewed the stamp grant status, which is in, and there's no deadline, so we're just waiting until they process whatever they need to process. And we talked a little bit initially about a capital plan. not much in the way of details about that, just, we're working on it, it's in the works, it's happening. We're at the very beginning. And Stephanie was nice enough to present a budget timeline. And I believe, just look toward, most of the workshops starting in July. There will be some type of presentation that will be given regarding the budget and, other such things. Well, I guess she's presenting to us at the finance committee. But there will be on July 27th, a 6-month update on our current budget. So. Anybody has any questions about that, be happy to answer them.
Very, that it?
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody have questions for Nancy? Thank you. We're gonna go to recreation and community events. Mr. Craig.
Yes, nothing to report from the meeting, other than we have a couple events coming up. On July 8th, we have Shakespeare in the Park up at Cribs. It'll be Richard III. That'll be at 7 p.m. It was a great time again last weekend when they had it. July 12th was the Kennywood Picnic. Kennywood, obviously. And then July 21st is the next edition of Movies in the Park, which will be Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which will be at Railroad Park here at dusk.
I'm sorry, what, July 21st?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, I'm sorry.
And then do we want to talk some more about the Shade Tree Commission trimming trees?
I think, Craig, the best bet between you and us would be to sit down with Bridget and get the full story about what's gonna happen.
Okay. Because
She-
that's coming up soon.
Yeah, she was on vacation this week. She said there was a chance she wouldn't be back. So, I will send her an email tomorrow. And
Maybe we can set something up, even if it has to be a Zoom or something with Craig and Bridget and
And whoever else, I don't know who's on the recreation, I'm sorry.
And
Nutrition, right?
Okay, we'll get something together.
And Tim was meeting with me with the trees too. For community development.
What I will do is I will CC everybody.
Okay, that's all I have. Unless there's any questions.
Oh, and there's no meeting tomorrow.
Correct.
thank you, Mr. Craig. Public Safety Committee, Mrs. Sylvia Provenza.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Currently, the subject of parking fees is on hold at this time.
Okay,
It's my fault, with everything that's going on. It's just a matter of getting Craig and I in the same room at the same time. Most likely what I think will happen is it will be a resolution, I'm sorry, an ordinance. We'll erase every parking ordinance that's sitting and create new ones.
okay, that's been worked.
Apologize.
That's all right.
It's just been crazy.
Anything else, Mrs. Provenza?
That's it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Communications, Mr. Floda.
Yes, I just want to give an update on the streaming service that we've been talking about and the new meeting format. We don't have anything different yet. My committee meets tomorrow. We are going to start the first phase of writing a policy for council meetings, since now we switched over since 2020 to be in a hybrid meeting. But we've been operating since 2020 using Zoom or using a hybrid version of Zoom where we're in person and also streaming. But since 2020, when we started using this service, there has not been any policies written regarding how to go about running
Okay,
a hybrid meeting. So we're gonna start working on that tomorrow. It'll probably take a month or two, and then we'll have something to present to the council as far as a new meeting policy. That's all I have right now.
very good. Thank you. Does anybody have anything for Mr. Floda? Thanks, Mr. Floda. Infrastructure and Asset Management, Ms. Redstick Showalter.
Thank you, Mr. President. This looks again like a lot, but it will go quickly because we talked about most of it already. Item A and B, we already discussed earlier with Chris Blackwell during the public comment period. As a recap, we will be Only submitting one multimodal application as the Borough of Verona, but may look to see if we can combine some efforts with what Penn Hills has started on our behalf related to VOP.
Judge, just out of curiosity, you
I-
would like to be in on Chris and Matt and I's meeting, correct?
Um,
Brad, I'm sorry.
I don't have to be, but let me know if I can,
Okay,
but.
I just don't
if
want you to think we're doing anything.
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
thank you for doing the heavy lifting. It's appreciated. So C, unless anyone has ideas, I'm gonna nix that for now. There was a potential grant application, Safe Routes for All. It's due July 10th though, so I think to the timeline, that's gonna be impossible. But something to keep on our radar perhaps for future years, especially given the active transportation plan and other efforts that may be a good candidate for that. Since Matt is on, yes. Yes, Matt is still on. I wanted to include, Matt, the grant that you had brought up, ACCD for Arch Street, the low volume road, gravel road grants. Did you want to discuss that at all? I know you're working on the multimodal now, but is there a time frame we should keep in mind with that, or do you need anything from us for that?
That would be more of a spring item.
Okay.
And depending on what the trail possibly has in store, it might upgrade Arch better than what we could through that grant. So
I see.
I'll keep that on the back burner as an idea.
What does ACCD stand for?
Do we have the
Allegheny
acronym?
County Conservation District.
Yeah, okay.
This would be the low grade roads.
Low volume
Low
gravel,
volume.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I'll make a note to revisit that in the spring. My last and final item, item E, is a draft paving budget policy. Draft is attached. I will go ahead and read this, and I welcome your comments and questions. Verona Borough has historically not budgeted a set aside of money for annual paving. Additionally, Verona Borough has lacked a policy on how to approach paving and has also lacked a comprehensive inclusive borough paving plan or a comprehensive record of our paving. The lifetime of road paving can vary greatly due to many factors such as traffic volume and weather conditions, but generally should not exceed 25 years. Due to a recent survey, Robotics, we have current data on the relative rankings of the majority of roads in the borough. Once a road deteriorates into the worst, red or number 5 as per Robotics conditions, it is very costly to repair, compared with roads in need of some repair such as yellow or number 3 as per Robotics. Again, it's the ranking of 1 to 5. Additionally, the worst roads generally do not get worse. Therefore, our approach to paving should be based on number 1, traffic volumes, and number 2, with the adoption of a guideline of about 70% yellow or number 3 roads and include approximately 30% of all adjacent number 5 or red roads, as well as number 4 roads. Number 3, all roads placed on a comprehensive but relative borough paving plan or timeline. Going forward, borough paving policy should also include 1, ADA ramps, 2, updated street signs, particularly outdated ones such as those famous yellow and red colored ones or faded signs. And 3, consider updating the sidewalks if the paving is along an identified priority corridor such as Jones Street, Center Avenue, etc. Oh, sorry, and number 4, include detailed record keeping of all paving and upgrades going forward in the borough. We will also remark all crosswalks and markings annually in high traffic areas such as Verner Elementary, Allegheny River Boulevard, and Wildwood Avenue, and at least every 2 years everywhere else. We request that remarking begin annually in the spring when the weather breaks and culminating with the areas around Verner Elementary in August, just prior to the return of school. So particularly Matt, with you joining us, I would love to hear any input you have. And also Matt, the committee, I forgot to say, the Infrastructure and Asset Management Committee met last week, and this was drafted in consultation with them. Thank you for your input. We were also wondering, Matt, what you would suggest as far as an annual paving budget, as we're starting to think about budget season.
Yeah, I'd have to kind of sit down and spend a little bit of time looking at the robotics information. It's good information. Off the top of my head, though, I can't say exactly how many streets had the red and yellow colors. I think it's a pretty tall task to try to tackle all the red in 1 year. And there's some other factors as well with the robotics. It inherently rates the brick and stone roads lower just because of the roughness of them. So there's a couple of minor things like that to review. But it gives us a very good head start on the planning process to possibly do a shorter outcome of maybe a 3 or 5 year plan to tackle the worst roads. The idea of focusing on the ADT of the roads, that's always something that gets taken into account. But there's some other factors too, with some dead end roads and everything that they can't be neglected much longer either. As far as budgeting goes, the sky's the limit. In previous years, we had budgeted between 70,000 and 100, just mostly because we get in the 70 to 80,000 range with liquid fuels. We've been fortunate enough to get some of the grants like the multimodals that do allow for paving. We have the GEDF right now that is the alley reconstruction, and we were just awarded the other GEDF for Center Avenue. So we've been lucky there. But it's all in what we want to tackle as well. And we can put together high level cost estimates and look, obviously to try to tackle all the red roads first. We might be a little heavy on paving for the next several years. But kind of once we get caught back up, we can lighten up on that, and it's more of a maintenance program than it is a reconstruction program.
I think what we need to be careful of too is there are quite a few roads that we want done immediately, and we all understand that. But as we look at, we're also gonna have to look at traffic. We're gonna have to look at stuff like that. Us wanting a road done, because I know there's like 7 I would like to have done right now. We can't put one above the other by any stretch of the imagination, because it's not fair to the residents of Verona. The people who live on, what are the cute little ladies?
Athletic.
They want their road done. The people who live on Bogle want their, so we have, Matt and I are gonna really have to look at traffic, what's traveled across there to figure all this out, because you have to decide at the end of the day how much of the budget you're willing to give up for this. Because that's what we're talking about right now.
So I just wanted to clarify a few things. Not suggesting we get to all the reds in a year or even a couple years, Matt et al. What I was suggesting is adopting kind of like a guideline going forward, and also just to have things on a written plan, so that, of course, people will be upset if we can't pave the road this year or even next year, but at least they will see that there is an actual plan where we have lacked on that in the past.
And like I said, Trish, I completely agree with that.
Yep.
My big fear, like for next year, is as we look at the fact that ambulance service is gonna cost us.
Right.
And we look at the fact that certain things are gonna be more of a cost. I just don't want, it's like that balance of.
Sure.
And so I just want to make sure we all understand that there has to be a balance there.
No, I hear that.
I mean, I would love to pave every road in Verona right now, but I can't, but we can't, and we can't pretend that one road's more important than the other, especially when we're looking at.
No, this is why I wanted to have the conversation now ahead of budget season, so that we start keeping in mind, even if it's less than the amount we're discussing, that we start, like many things, planning for these things and including it in our annual budget discussions.
And I think it's important to point out that we had talked about infrastructure that, we're not talking about concentrating on the red roads. We're talking about dividing it up between the roads that are starting to deteriorate and the ones that are
It deteriorated, right?
Because as we go along, the fours are gonna become fives and the twos are gonna become threes, so it's gonna be an ongoing thing, it's not whatever it is right now.
The vicious
I've got
cycle.
a question for Matt.
Mhm.
Hey, Matt, I guess you're aware of the problem on Third Street there on the dead end side? Off of
Yeah.
Center
I
Avenue?
talked to Ray about that today. I didn't get a chance to get into town today, but I'm gonna make sure I get by it and look at it. That way I can get some measurements and see exactly how much of it needs to be done.
Right.
I'll,
I'm thinking, I know it's not, in the budget, if we could get the street department to cut it out and, clean it up and, put a patch in there, a big patch.
absolutely, and that's something I just need to get on site to see how bad the holes are and what our capabilities would be to do some temporary patching.
Right. All right, thank you.
So that was also, my question. In terms of many of the other places where there's deep holes. If they can, DPW can get to. Like, for instance, Athletic, before the asphalt, companies shut down in the winter.
And what I've learned from Matt very specifically is whatever we do is not, it's a patch. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't
No,
work.
you could actually, like I was telling, like I explained to, well, he knows more than I do. You cut it out, because we do it. We cut it out, because we work for Dominion. On their insurance policies, we could do. We will do a driveway, we'll cut it out, we'll clean it up, then we go get the asphalt, lay it down, roll it out, and
We don't have a roller.
we could rent one.
Yeah, and we
The
understand
cog probably has one.
they do, but my statement here is. What I'm afraid we're gonna do is stretch DPW to the point where all they're doing is road work.
But a road like Third Street is very, it should be top priority to do, even though it's not in the budget. We need to do something with that, and I appreciate Matt going up to look at it.
And I understand Third Street, I understand Sylvan Way at the deck, I understand, a lot of streets. That's what worries me is. How do we pick what are the most important? Sylvan Way at the very end is a disaster, way worse than Third Street. Athletic hasn't been paid for 51 years. I don't want people to feel like we pick and choose. And I'm really worried about asking DPW to do things they haven't done in the past. And
They patched roads in the past. So something needs to be done down on Third Street. If you would see these pictures of this man,
I understand that, and I completely agree with you. I feel horrible about what happened to him, and I feel bad about the pictures I've seen of a woman who's fallen a lap and athletic. I'm just trying to, my job is not to pick my job is to say, what can we do to make sure everybody gets the same treatment? So I'm trying to figure that out. That's where I'm at right now.
We need a system, none of
We
these
need a
roads.
system. We don't need somebody to
gotten
went
this
out and
bad.
took pictures and said, look what happened to this person.
well, that's what I did. I went and says, we should have been aware of this. I did take pictures. I
Yeah.
showed them to everybody, and it is our responsibility to address it, not just say, well, we don't want to overburden DPW, so we just leave it alone. I mean, is that what we're gonna do? Just leave it alone? If there's a hole in the road, we need to fix it. We need to address it. I'm surprised these people didn't come after the borough for, hospital bills. That's my opinion.
So our options are for DPW to maybe do some minor patching.
And I will talk to them about how to get the equipment.
I think you work with Matt on that, because he works with the DPW.
Okay,
Matt, can you work with DPW on that?
Yeah, I was gonna get a hold of AJ. I already have that SOAR meeting with him on Thursday, so we can both run up together and look at that. And then go from there. The pictures didn't come through on my email, so it might be something that we can just temporarily hit with cold patch to buy us some time. or it might be something that we have to cut out and do a larger patch, but once I'm able to take a look at it, we'll try to come up with a plan.
My question would be, if you're going to do that street, then we really need to do Sylvan, because I've been putting the guy off on Sylvan. At the very end, if you could look at that too.
Let's look at it, yeah.
What
see
part
we
of
can
Sylvan?
do.
Which
The
end?
very end, there's a guy who, there's a bunch of businesses down there
Oh,
and
Conco used to be.
they're really upset. I've been able to hold them off, but I can't do one without the other. So if we could look at Sylvan, I would appreciate that.
Matt, I apologize. I thought I did forward that to you. That's my bad.
The email came, but for some reason the attachments didn't.
I'll try sending you to again, Matt.
But yeah, we can look at that. I mean, coal patch and even doing some of these other patches, they are just a temporary fix, but it can make it safer and more passable for the short run.
Right.
Matt, can you add athletic and Vogels?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Couple questions. The streets that we do have money for, do we have any idea when that paving might start?
They're being bidded out right now. Correct, Matt?
So the Second Street one is being bid out. It opens on the 14th, so I will have recommendations for the workshop meeting for the award of that one. I'm working with Rob at the COG, the alley contract one that we have and the Sylvan way behind the apartments. I'm working with him and he's working with the county to get signatures and get those under contract, so then they can move forward with being bid out.
So that's what the COG you said?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. My other question is, did we say at some point we were gonna put the robotics results on the website?
We cannot, because if you just put up the Excel, it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Because it's like Sylvan Way's on there 4 times.
Mhm.
There's roads that aren't here that are on there 4 times. We're working on the GIS map
Mhm.
that will give us a better idea of what that looks like. But unfortunately, that's not a quick fix.
Okay.
And the other problem is, like Matt said, you have roads here that you're not gonna pave that are brick, cobblestone,
Mhm.
that are rated as 5s that are never gonna be paved. So we have to figure that,
For paper alleys.
our paper alleys and stuff like that. So you have to really figure that out.
Mhm. Okay, just asking. Thank you.
anything else, Trish?
Nope, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Community Development, Mr. Long? No update at this time. Okay, we're gonna move on to action items. I need a motion to approve a street closing on July 3rd of 2023 on Arch Street between James and Fairview. I think that's not the right, I think it's supposed to be between Grant and Fairview. From 4 PM till 10 PM for a block party.
Yeah, James is by the Eagles.
James is the one by the Eagles.
Yeah, then it hits Pennsylvania.
It says James to Fairview on this sheet.
James is the one that comes down by the
Trish?
pink house.
You can't shut Arch down from James
Right.
to Fairview.
Yep, it is Grant.
It is great, okay.
Grant.
It's the
Okay.
paperwork says James.
I understand.
Okay, Grant,
From 4 PM to 10 PM for a block party.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Craig. Second by Mr. Long. Any questions?
I have a question. Have all the people that will be affected by this shutdown been notified? Isn't that part of the policy for closing down streets?
Yes.
That's in the business district.
that's in the business district,
What?
this is a block party.
I think
It doesn't say that.
Wouldn't,
Actually on our street between Grant.
they're all on Penn Street.
That's the back.
But that's where all their
Yeah,
driveways and.
you are right, because we did that when North Avenue years ago. You know, just out of a courtesy to let people know what's going on. But like Tim said, that's their back doors. so it really ain't gonna affect them.
Well, it is because they park back there. That's.
It
the
actually
difference.
says,
They have
it
to
doesn't
do-
say anything in the permit that they have to ask. For a block party.
Oh, it does.
It does not.
It's not.
Well, right, and I'm not saying it does or it doesn't, but as, I just don't, after this happens, I don't wanna see a bunch of people coming to the meeting saying, you gotta shut down the street and I couldn't park my car. You know what I'm saying? These are the same people who are affected by pickleball.
So historically, when we've had our block party on North, we just move the barrier if someone's local's parking. It's just kind of to prevent the through traffic, but
Yeah.
it's not that anyone would say you can't park.
Okay, and that's
Um,
great. That sounds like a wonderful way to
As
handle
far
it.
as like pickleball players though, I mean, they may be affected, but they could come down the
They
other way.
come down the other
And we
way.
already told pickleball that would happen.
Okay.
Awesome.
And I just think that for the, I don't know, 4 or 5 people that will be affected by that, would be nice to let them know so that they,
Good.
you know, don't be, they're not upset and surprised.
I have a suggestion. Could DPW just put stakes along the road like they do for the parades?
That would be the police, and I will talk to them about doing that. But if we're gonna do that from now on, I think we need to put it in the application.
Okay.
I think that's only fair, because we're not asking them at this point to do that.
Well, and I guess the difference is, and again, I have no objection generally to doing this, and I get it. But normally when you're having a block party like on North, it's for the people who live on North.
I think this is for the people who live in that section, is it not?
Yes,
And if they're coming to the birthday party,
yes,
all the people that live on Arch right there.
yes.
This is not,
Oh,
this is
okay,
not,
never mind.
this is what you're asking, and
Okay.
what I can tell you is, this was not a request by anybody but somebody named Rob. This was not whatever you're thinking, it was from Rob Yanni, so.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that.
It's like two things.
Okay, so we have a question and we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. Next thing, we need a motion to approve use of no more than $20,000 in ARPA funds for 4 ADA ramps at Sylvan Way and James Street as part of the Champion Institute project. Picture of the ADA ramps is in place. We've seen this a couple times.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trish,
One second.
second by Nancy. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
The train.
Okay, we need a motion to approve concurring resolution for requested amount of $20,000 in CDBG for Act 152 demolition application. The resolution is attached. Motion by Mr. Craig,
Second.
second by Mr. Long. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Passed. We need a motion to approve demolition. Slums and blight resolution attached.
This will be in addition to 3 houses that will be torn down this year. We can get all 3 for it.
So where are we at with one on Church Street, the Dory?
Can we worry about this?
Okay, you're right. I
Sorry.
apologize.
Sorry.
Okay,
Second.
Motion by Mr. Long, second by Trish. Any questions?
yeah, what is this precisely for? I'm not clear.
It is for, we already have the money to tear down 3 homes. This would give us an additional money for 3 more homes.
And have we designated those 3 more homes?
We are working on that. We have 6 homes that we're ready to tear down as long as we get everything. Okay, I can't tell you that. I don't know, Matt, can you say if they're like absolutely gonna happen?
I mean, there's some the three that we have the CDBG funding for, those are definitely gonna happen. These ones we're applying for, I mean, there's some factors, if someone would miraculously pay the taxes or something like that, then that would take them out of the eligibility for it. But the resolution is just basically the borough signifying that these are dilapidated or they're owe back taxes, and just basically gives us the right to apply for the grant funds for it.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Next is a motion to approve the resignation of Rhea Homa from the Parks and Recreation Board.
With regret, I make that motion.
Second, also with regret.
Motion by Trish, second by Mr. Provenza. Any questions?
Just a few comments. Want to take a few moments to thank and commend Rhea Homa for all of her efforts as part of the Parks and Recreation Board. From helping to start the community garden to her work with native plants in Selden. Before her, no one even paid attention to such things, and she's really brought a lot of efforts to light and has spearheaded a lot of efforts. So we thank her for her time.
Thank you,
Yes,
Thank you, Rhea.
Thank you, Ray, for all your hard work and your strong interest in the community.
yes, very good. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. The last one is, we have 3 openings on the Parks and Rec Board. We advertised for it, and we got 3 letters of intent. I'd like to take a motion to approve the appointment of Brian Duncan, Isabel McDade, and Bonnie Wilhoit to the Parks and Recreation Board. Letters of interest are attached.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Floda,
Second.
second by Mr. Long. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Passed. Thank you. Announcements and information. Newsletter, Mrs. Provenza?
Thank you, Mr. President. Newsletter, we're currently working on the autumn edition and would like you to start sending in your ads and articles so we can get it moving. And the due date is Tuesday, August the 1st. Chamber of Commerce, next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, July the 18th, 7 p.m. in the Borough Building. And don't forget the farmer's market every Thursday from 2 to 7. And I did check to see if the farmer's market coupons were available. They still are not. And
Not until the end of July.
Oh, okay, when I checked with some people, they said they had no idea when.
End of July.
Okay, thank you. Historical Society, there will be no meeting until September. Field trips will be the highlight for the summer months. The trip that is set for Saturday, July the 8th is going to the Braddock Battlefield History Center. And the folks are to meet at 11 a.m. I believe it is.
I think so.
Yes, at 11 a.m. And then also the other trip going in July will be going to the Stonehouse Museum, which is in Salzburg, PA, and that will be meeting here at the Borough Building at 10 a.m. And this will be a ride together trip, no bus or anything. And I just want to thank Rhoda for putting all this together. Thank you very much, Rhoda. Twin Borough Ministries Community Dinner will be held tomorrow evening from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Methodist Church. Will be hosted by the Oakmont Elk. And if you wish to eat in the hall, it is now open to everyone. ALOM, they had no information to give. They are actually in the process of moving, and they will have more information for me at the next meeting. And they actually are moving closer here to us, which I thought was great.
Where to, do you know?
Yes, near Hartwood Acres. And I would also, in closing, I would like to extend a big thank you to our state representative, Joe McAndrews, for the shredding event he put together and the license plate event. Both were a huge success and many people benefited from these events. So again, thank you very much, Joe. You are greatly appreciated. In closing, are there any comments or questions?
Yeah, I have a question, just in general for all of council, do we still want to sign up to host, or are we signed up to host the dinner in August this year?
Yes.
I believe we are.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. And also, for people who don't know, Joe McAndrew's office is in the process of moving this week. So they're closed right
Yes, they're
now.
closed, right.
Yeah, and they're gonna be up by the magistrate's office and the fire department in Penn Hills.
Right, they'll be on road, right off of Rhode Island Road. Okay, if not any questions or comments, this concludes my reports, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
So,
Provenza.
I talked to Shirley Davis over the weekend. And we donated some footballs and kickballs and stuff to the summer youth camp. She said that she would be willing to donate a couple pans of macaroni and cheese for the community dinner. And I said that might pair well with chicken strips and a salad and a brownie. If everybody wants to,
You know, we have to cook.
I mean, we get frozen bread.
They do most of the cooking. We,
They'll put them in the oven for us and we'll cook
Okay,
them.
because if I have to cook, it won't be good.
All we have to do,
we kind of just serve it
the
and
church ladies prepare everything and the volunteers that they have, and we just have to portion it out, put it in a
What day is that?
August,
Last,
last Wednesday of August.
Okay, I just need to be able to put in my calendar.
so it's August 30th, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
30th,
Yep.
Shirley?
That's Susie.
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 The last name's the same.
It's been a long day.
Davis.
Yes, I just, last year, we kind of threw together the menu the week before. I was gonna try to maybe get a jump on it and get this
Yeah.
planned out before the end of July, so
very good. Thank you.
no problem.
Mr. Mayor, you had something else to ask about the,
No, I was wondering the status on, and I apologize for jumping the
That's
gun
all
on that. That house on Church Street,
It's been,
Dory.
it's still in.
she's still waiting to get the
now.
title and everything.
Yeah.
She said it was gonna take months and months and
It's
months.
very deplorable. I'd be down here every day. I mean, the grass is,
There's nothing the borough can do though.
I do understand that. That's our government, so to speak.
Yeah,
Right.
There's nothing she can do, there's nothing we can do. If, I guess, if you have a complaint, I would call Allegheny County and tell them,
That's true.
because it's not us.
Right.
And I believe Matt and even inspected it. and
That went up with them,
the
yeah.
forces, They said that it's actually, looks,
Doable.
it looks a lot worse than it actually is. It just needs some paint and some minor cosmetic things, so. Yeah.
I think-
a year or so.
You said it's worse than it actually is. Did you
No,
mean?
No, it looks worse.
Oh, okay. I missed the looks.
It looks a lot worse than it actually is.
I said, oh, it only needs some TLC, but it looks worse than it.
No, no, no.
Okay, sorry about that.
You have no power over that.
No.
It's like, there's a lot of.
Last year, I thought at some point last year, not me, you guys, whoever were on, worked on some kind of policy about what we want DPW to do in the case of long grass and vacant properties.
And we didn't think about putting that in their contracts.
Well, I don't know about in their contracts. I just know that it was discussed and I don't remember the results.
I don't either.
Do you remember anybody who was here?
I believe Rhoda was working on that, so I
I don't think anything was ever really finalized.
she
We
talked about.
We
it a
talked
lot.
about it and we did say like maybe we should contract that portion out instead of burdening with DPW with those maintenance.
I mean, I know they do some houses, but I would have thought if we were gonna work something out with them, we would have done that during contract season if we had already figured.
Well, I don't know, I thought that you can't really put down every single job that you want someone to do. That's why you put in that paragraph, most job descriptions and other jobs as assigned or other tasks as assigned.
You have to be
But I
careful
mean,
with
if there is. I don't know, it's just not good for the borough to have a bunch of properties sitting around with 3 foot tall grass.
I think the argument was. It's not fair for taxpayers to be paying for DPW to cut,
Right, I think you're right. I
Grass.
think you're right.
just refuse to not cut it either, so. There-
Well, I don't think that's the case, though. I mean, church is in limbo, the lot across from the mayor's house, I know. 2 years ago, BIU tried very, very diligently and sent many, many letters to many different addresses to try to find who that owner was, and they could never get in touch with
But there's the
anybody.
unfortunate problem that you have to be 5 years post tax payment. Before we can really do anything about that.
5 years.
And you have to convince, and when you sheriff sale or do anything. The unfortunate problem is because of the way you're set up, you also have to make sure the school district goes along with
Right.
you. So there's a lot there. I know that they cut some lots that belong to us or aren't taken care of, but I mean, poor Dory is trying her hardest to own this
Oh, I
home.
know.
And instead of, we spend a lot of time complaining about what the home looks like, but she is really trying her hardest to own it and fix it up.
You know, what we used to do, none of yous were on at the time, Rich Miller and Mayor Brennan and, so on. We tore down homes, nobody claimed them. We made parking lots out of them. The end of First Street is a parking lot. Vogel's Lane, there was a big church there. We tore it down. Nobody claimed it. We made a big parking lot. What are they gonna do to us? Come back and sue us? Well, here, guess what? This is what you owe us now. Well, we did it and no one has complained. I understand it don't work that way.
Parking lots aren't free. I mean, you have to
Right.
pay for that.
Well,
too,
I
right?
understand that, but rather than let them sit there with an eyesore, we tore them down and we made use of them.
Yeah,
You know, there's some nice properties, it could be a community garden. You know, what are they gonna do? Kick you off? Okay, kick us off. Here, now you pay that bill.
Yeah, I was gonna say there are some efforts in the city to turn vacant lots into like a, native wildflower
Right.
area, something that they don't have to maintain but looks better.
And there's that same thought in Detroit and Cleveland and everything like that, but you don't just take it over. You have
Yes.
to.
I understand 100%, but you know what? If no one wants to come forward, we took it over. We weren't afraid to take it over and do what we had to do with it. I mean, we didn't build on it. We laid asphalt on, ground up asphalt and, did things with it.
Okay, we'll go to couple, comments from the public. This time, council will hear comments on public related items. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand. Clearly state your name and address and limit your conversations to 3 minutes, please.
Dave Matlin's had his hand up forever.
Dave?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah.
Yep, Dave Matlin, 722 Bruno Street. Two comments or two topics to comment on. One is, I think it's a colossal waste of time and effort and money to be looking at changing banks at this point in time. It's clear from the conversation that most of you don't seem to appreciate how much time and effort Stephanie and Teresa would have to spend to switch banks, all to change to Chase, which is the largest bank in America, a corporation based in New York City, to change from S&T Bank, a bank headquartered in Indiana, PA, right here in Western Pennsylvania. I understand, the idea of shopping local, of supporting local businesses. There's plenty of other ways to do that. Choosing a bank that is literally the largest in the country, that just happens to have a branch in Verona, is not going to do that. In addition, it's going to be a colossal waste of time and money and energy by your staff. So I think you should all think long and hard before directing your borough manager to do that. Second of all, the robotics, I'm glad to hear talk of paving and utilizing the robotics data. I couldn't agree more with Stephanie that you really need to be objective. And that was the whole purpose of the robotics data, was so it wasn't just, oh, so-and-so called the mayor 5 times and got their road paved. So-and-so called the council president 5 times and got their road paved. It really should be objective, based on the data, based on the traffic volumes. You have a borough engineer and a manager who can sit down and look at the data and make an objective recommendation on which roads to pave. And I think you all need to take that seriously. I think you need to invest the amount of money it's going to need to pave those roads that badly need it. They've been neglected for many years, partially due to financial mismanagement by previous managers and councils, and partially due to the fact that the borough's been trying to get back on its feet the last few years. And now that things are turning a corner financially, I think now is as good a time as any to start investing in the roads that badly need it. So I hope that you will take the robotics data seriously, and I really hope that you will find a way to make it public, because I think I know it's a lot of data, and I know it needs to be put in a format that's usable and readable by the average resident, but I think it's important because it will allow you to justify which roads are being paved if you do it methodically and analytically and objectively, because people are going to want to understand why you paved that road and not this road, and having, whether it's a map or a chart or something that you can share on the website, share at meetings, and show people why you did what you did, that's based in, the data. I think that'll go a long way into explaining people, why you're choosing some roads over others. So I hope you'll take that seriously, and I hope you'll make that information public. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Before you move.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Before you move to Jessica, I just wonder if we could have a copy or two of the robotics the way we have it. And if someone wants to come down to the borough building and take a
No,
look at it.
because honest to God, does not make sense.
Well, I have a copy of it. Makes sense to me.
So you understand all of the.
Okay, we're on public
Yeah.
comment now.
I know, but I'm commenting on the public comment. and I'm
Jessica,
saying there
please.
should be a way to make that available to people.
Hi, Jessica Verone again, 722 Bruno Street. I just was wondering if there's an opportunity for us to learn from how other groups are doing things. I know there was recently the bike derby, and you all, I think, grilled hot dogs at the borough building, or at the police department, technically, I guess. So want to make sure I understand, and trying to think of how we're going to work around the health department's restrictions. If they were able to serve the hot dogs, I don't know who was involved in that, or if you can direct me to somebody who was involved in that, how they were able to do that, but then we wouldn't be able to do the same thing. Is it because we're just locating the event at the pavilion? We could serve the hot dogs outside of the pavilion, but it would be really helpful for us to, know these kinds of things as we're planning the event. Thanks.
Unfortunately, you have a concession stand in the park that is coded by the health department. You can't go beyond what the health department says. That's just the way it works. Unfortunately, that part with that concession stand falls under that set of rules. And if you want to.
So we could serve the hot dogs outside of the concession stand and it wouldn't be a problem like the borough or like the police does?
Serve them in the park at all. Cribs Field, because of the concession stand, has different health department rules.
But like
But
if
if
their
we-
event was at Railroad, they could.
If your event was at Railroad,
You could cook all you want.
Just makes no sense. And I hope you guys understand that, but it literally makes no sense.
Jessica, I mean, it's a health department rule, and maybe if you call the health
Well,
department. they can
Is
give
it a
you
health
some-
department rule if we're not using a facility maybe this is a discussion for outside of this meeting, but if we're not using the pavilion that is governed by the health department, then I don't understand why the health department would have any jurisdiction over whether or not we are grilling hot dogs on this, side of the road. you know, like it, maybe we can talk about it some other time, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. Why the borough can grill hot dogs and serve them, but we can't.
Kathy?
Hey, Kathy Max, 234 Penn Street. So if I'm understanding, then if we give, you know, as the community group, consideration to having the picnic, I'm not saying this is gonna happen at Railroad Park, then we're saying there's no restrictions as to what we can do as far as cooking food. Because that will be something we need to consider.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
It's because it's at Cribbs Field under the Health Department and the pavilion's in the field.
okay, I mean, that's good to know.
And that's
because
not the
maybe
borough,
that's-
that's not the borough's rules, that's the county's rules.
I do definitely get that to some extent. I don't necessarily understand.
Not
it, but
that we
that's-
agree with it either, not that we
Yeah,
agree
no,
with
that's
it either.
fine. No, that's fine. I get that, but that could be a distinction that maybe helps facilitate us in our planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Anybody else?
It's gonna be real short. Sherry Kai, 759 East Railroad Street. Stephanie Garibay has sent an email out to a few people and she need help to sell Kennywood tickets. And Giant Eagle is allowing us to sell tickets at the concession stand or the food court inside Giant Eagle. So right now, the Bells, Sandy and Gus gonna take turns to sell ticket. Stephanie sold ticket at the farmer's market, but she's going on vacation for a couple weeks. So anybody listening, if you guys can help sell ticket, please get in touch with Stephanie Garibay. Most people know how to get a hold of her and to get tickets to sell. That's all I wanted.
Very good, thank you.
Jerry, I have a question. Is there a way to sign up for it or a schedule that you can fill out
You need
like
to
time
get with
slots?
Stephanie, she'll schedule.
Very good, thank you. Susie?
Susie Davis, 537 Ridge Avenue. I appreciate the fact that you guys did, I know it's not on the agenda or whatnot, that you did lower ridge. You cut the trees back, but now you have the shrubs, the green growth is blocking the road again. So you cleared off the trees, which is fantastic. But if you're coming up or coming down the hill, you're still running into the overhang of the green stuff that is hanging. Because the property managers are on the corner of Ridge and Selden. He's just too lazy to do his job. So what can we do to go after him to clear the road? Because again, it's now becoming a hazard again.
What is the exact address? The best I can do is send out code enforcement.
It'd be the 400 block of Ridge.
All right, I can send out code enforcement.
Because like I said, when you're driving up and driving down, you're running into the same thing. We're not seeing the other car until you're almost on top of them again because the overhang. I said they cut the trees on the upper part, which is fantastic, but we still have the problem on the lower. Like maybe 440, I think might be an address. But he will see it when he comes.
The best I can do is have them go look.
Yeah, like I said, it's bad again. Thank you for getting the big tree done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Long, second by Mr. Cadenza. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed?
You know what? You're-
Thank you for attending the meeting and thank you for attending on the virtual.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, I always